Hey everybody, welcome to Broadway.com's Live at 5. It's Monday, March 11th, and I am Ryan Lee Gilbert.
And I'm Beth Stevens.
And here in the studio with us is the marvelous Caitlin Moynihan.
Hello.
And we have a fantastic guest with us today. Aladdin is with us today. Ainsley Melham from Aladdin, of course. He playing Aladdin. He just flew right in. The magic carpet's right outside the door. No, we're going to chat with Ainsley in just a moment. But first, let's talk about today's Top 5.
Two of our favorites are heading to the small screen together.
Oh my goodness.
This
we
was,
did
this
not
was like
see
a
this
gasp-inducing news.
This was
Yes.
Everyone just, what? We're talking about smashing Broadway favorite Megan Hilty and Tony winner Jessie Mueller are going to star together, are you ready? In a TV movie about Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn. Patsy and Loretta is the name.
That cuts to the chase.
It really does. It really does. Let me tell you, it's on Lifetime. It's a Lifetime movie. So Megan Hilty will play Patsy Cline, and Jessie Mueller will play Loretta Lynn. I mean,
I didn't even
voices.
realize,
The
in
voices.
my ignorance, I didn't even realize these two were friends.
They
like,
were
they're-
the untold
yeah.
friendship. It's kind of like Alfred
all right,
and
then
Glinda.
you know what? I don't feel that bad.
There we go. I will read this now. Patsy and Loretta will follow the untold friendship, that's why you didn't know, between the two music stars leading up to Cline's untimely death in a 1963 plane crash. Scheduled for late 2019, directed by Callie Curry. We shall see.
Neil Marin, of course.
Neil Marin will
producing.
produce it,
Yeah,
who worked on
absolutely.
Smash with Megan. There you go.
This acclaimed screen composer is getting ready to make his Broadway debut.
Yes, Danny Elfman, who already has a Grammy and 2 Emmy Awards, and he counts 4 Oscar nominations. He is making his Broadway debut, composing the music for Taylor Mack's Broadway Broadway debut play, Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus. Elfman has written over 100 film scores, and he created a pair of iconic TV theme songs, including for The Simpsons and Desperate Housewives. He's scored 16 Tim Burton films. As I said, he already has a Grammy, 2 Emmys, and 4 Oscar nominations. Gary, of course, begins previews this evening at the Booth Theater. Yay, welcome to the boards. It will officially open on April 11th. It stars Nathan Lane and Christine Nielsen and Julie White and is directed by George C. Wolfe. We're very excited to check this one out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even more concerts are coming to Broadway.
Okay. So sometimes
It's a thing now.
It's a thing.
Sometimes a theater
thing.
sits dark while waiting for the next production.
To rent it out, yeah.
Guess what's going to happen in that time? A new program called In Residence on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first edition will run from May through July 2019 at the L'Enfantin Theater. This is on the heels of Morrissey playing there from
Right.
May 2nd through the 11th. Artists, we don't know who yet. Correct?
No.
We have not been given any names. We'll take the Broadway stage for a limited residency of 5 to 10 shows over the course of 1 to 2 weeks. Pretty cool.
This is an interesting,
Pretty cool.
I mean, for people that
A little
want to see these
rotation.
musical acts, they get them in here, and
So
then
we
hopefully
don't
they'll
know
see some
what
other
that
shows.
means quite yet, but stay tuned. Broadway, what's it called? In Residence, catchy, huh? In Residence on Broadway.
And we are very much here for this dream casting.
This is very exciting. So John Mulaney.
I secreted this.
You did. This
Yes,
was
you did.
you.
You
You
tweeted
brought
this
this to
a few days
everyone's
ago.
attention. So John Mulaney did an interview with Vulture, and in that interview, kind of just buried in there, he talked about being very willing to host the Tony Awards. He and Nick Kroll, they presented a couple of years ago when Oh Hello was on Broadway, and they kind of saw how things kind of worked and got felt it all out, and were like, hey, we can do this. We can make this pretty fun. Consider this an endorsement, John Mulaney. We'd love to have you host the Tony
He's clearly
Awards.
a Broadway fan. If
Exactly.
you've watched when he hosted SNL and they did their
Right, he did the Diner Lobster, which was basically
Bodega.
Les
Les
Mis,
Mis.
and then Bodega Bathroom, which had Rent and Little Shop and
Other
Cats.
favorites, yeah.
Yes, of course. And in this same interview, he also said that he would love to write the book and maybe even the lyrics to a Broadway musical. So
We invite you, John. Come on down.
Send him some ideas. What would you like to see John Mulaney do? And of course, he also has participated in Documentary Now's Company,
Right,
the
he co-created
recording of that cast recording as well. So he knows what he likes, and he likes
And
Broadway.
he looks like Sondheim in that. So there you go.
He does.
He's all set.
And love is in the air, and congratulations are in order.
Oh, Mazel Tov, Leah Michelle. Leah Michelle got married.
Congratulations, Leah Michelle.
Leah Michelle got married on March 9th to Zandy Reich. Do I have to tell you who Leah Michelle is? Leah Michelle is a
Hopefully
Broadway
not.
alum
Hopefully
and
not.
Glee alum. I think you know who she is. They were married in Northern California. They were engaged in April 2018, and I assume they are currently on their honeymoon, but I have no
Yeah,
confirmation
we don't
of that
know.
whatsoever.
Yeah, but hopefully they're doing
Confirm.
something fun.
But best wishes
yeah.
to the happy couple.
Yes, absolutely. And on the site right now, Be More Chill opened last night. And so we have opening night coverage of that, including photos of arrivals. There's portraits coming. And then there was a red carpet challenge with Matt Roden, of course. Heidi Schreck, part of the spring preview, Heidi Schreck's What the Constitution Means to Me feature is up on the site right now.
Keep checking back that spring preview. It's just rolling
every day.
along.
Every
There's
day.
not one day until March 31st.
21st.
21st. Yes.
There are only so many shows, Ryan.
That's right. And as we mentioned earlier, Gary begins previews at the Booth Theater this evening. Beth, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for chatting about the news with me. Caitlin, why don't you introduce today's guest?
Gladly. Yes, we have Ainsley Melham in the studio with us today because he is currently making his Broadway debut starring as Aladdin in Aladdin. How incredible is that? He starred in the first Australian national tour of Aladdin, and he earned a 2017 Helpman Award nomination for Best Male Actor in a Musical, so we know he's legit. He also starred on stage in Xanadu and is known on screen for being a member of High Five House. Be sure to follow him on social media at Ainsley Melham and give him all of those likes and comments because he deserves it. And leave all of your questions in the comments below. Please welcome Ainsley and Ryan.
Hello, Ainsley.
Hello, sir.
Thanks for joining us on Live at 5.
My
and
pleasure.
congratulations on making your Broadway debut.
Thank you
In
very much.
Aladdin. You are Broadway's Aladdin. How does it feel?
It's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy. Coming from Australia, small town, growing up, performing, next minute Aladdin in Australia, in Disney's Aladdin, and then a hot second later, traveling to the US to be Aladdin on Broadway. It's very surreal, and
bet.
I'm very, very humbled and grateful.
Yeah, and you got to reunite with your friends who you did Aladdin with in Australia.
Absolutely. Michael James Scott and Ariel Jacobs. Ariel was our beautiful Princess Jasmine, and Michael, of course, was the wonderful Genie. And now we're all back together again here at the New Amsterdam Theatre, which again, it's this wonderful full circle thing. And I still walk past them today in the theatre, and I look at them in between scenes, and I go, Wait, we're not in Sydney. We're here. We're on Broadway. Yeah.
Right. And also the added benefit, to give a little shout out, your partner, Callum Francis, is making his Broadway debut in Kinky Boots. He is Lola. I believe this is his last week of performances. March 17th, right, is to catch Callum. What an incredible experience to be able to come make your Broadway debut alongside your partner and to be in a show with friends from Australia like
Absolutely.
That's pretty, universe is on your side.
I know. I met him in Australia, and we performed alongside each other there in our shows, and now we continue it here. It's truly serendipitous, and we didn't plan any of it. So whoever's watching over us, thank you.
And to be playing Aladdin, that has to be. I mean, once Disney is just such a major force for entertainment. Was Disney a huge part of your childhood, and were you a fan of Aladdin before?
Absolutely, yeah. Aladdin. Particularly in my childhood and all of those beautiful Disney films. So now to be playing that on stage, you sort of carry all that nostalgia with you, but you also feel you're aware that you're carrying everybody else's. Everybody who comes to the theater knows that animation and has their own connection with it. So you want to do that justice as well.
Right. And this show is just a machine. I mean, the dancing, how do you prepare for that every performance and maintain that, the energy for that?
Yeah. I have a wonderful personal trainer. He keeps me looking the part, and then I'm always at the theater a couple of hours early warming up to make sure my body is physically warm so I can run around that stage and climb things and all of that. But it is a machine, and it's full on. And once you step on the stage as Aladdin, it's like being shot out of a cannon. You don't leave for the next 2.5 hours. But you know what? It's so much fun, and everybody here, back in Australia and here, since I've been here has been so warm and welcoming that I look forward to it every night. So
yeah. Is there a big difference you've picked up on between the Broadway community and the Australian theater community? Is there any like different traditions or anything like that?
Certainly, we have. There are a few different traditions, I guess. One thing we say in Australia is chukas. That's the sort of the good luck. You're not meant to say good
Chukas.
luck, so we say chukas. So when I got
Being
here,
told to break your legs.
basically that's our version of it back in Australia. So when I got here, I was walking around going chukas, chukas, and everyone's just like looking at me, and I could hear them as I passed going, what did he say?
Is Ainsley well?
Right. So it's taken a couple of weeks, but everybody knows now exactly what I mean when I say
Right.
chukas. But by and large, the communities are very much the same. Back in Australia, we have a wonderful community, smaller than you have here on Broadway, but everybody's working hard, and they love to hear the gossip and the news of what's happening here
Right,
and who's being
sure.
cast in what show and what's the new show. So we're sort of on the same page just across the water.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When did you fall in love with performing? What kind of got you involved in realizing this would be something you might want to do?
I started dancing when I was very young. When I was about 3 or 4 years old, my mother put me into dance classes, running around with other little kids and doing whatever you do at 3 or 4 when you're dancing.
Sure, right. Dancing.
Right, exactly, dancing. But that's where it started.
Yeah.
And alongside that, I used to sit and watch films from like the 30s and 40s. I started tap dancing when I was younger, so I used to watch those beautiful movie musicals of that era.
Right.
Movie stars tap dancing on screen. I used to watch that with my dad, and I think that's where the passion started to spark and started to grow. And honestly, I can't remember a time when I didn't love performing or when I didn't want to perform. So I think it's been a part of me since I was very young.
Right. And was singing something that you were you nervous to begin singing? Were you immediately a good singer?
No, I singing came later for me. It was certainly the dancing that started first, and then somebody said down the track, they were like, if he wants to do this as a career, he should really probably go and get singing lessons.
Good advice, yeah.
Good advice.
Right.
Right. So we did. So that's exactly what Mum and Dad did. They enrolled me in singing lessons, and again, it was sort of something that just fell out of me, I guess.
Right,
It was
right.
in there somewhere, and it just needed somebody to come along and tap into it.
So was there was no period of where you had to get over any kind of stage fright? You came alive on stage?
No, I think because I was performing from very young, it sort of always felt natural. But
Right.
but I still get nervous. Like when I went on for my debut here, I was terrified because all of a sudden here I am at the New Amsterdam Theatre on Broadway, and the gravity of that like hit me just before I went on. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Right. What do you actually remember about what's
Nothing.
a fond
About the first night?
that first night taking that first Broadway stage bow? What was that? What was going through your head? What was that experience like?
I had my partner Callum there, and a beautiful friend, 2 friends actually, Heba El Sheikh, who is from the UK. She was our Jasmine in Australia after Ariel Jacobs.
Right.
So she was there. I also had a wonderful friend who worked on the show. His name was Andrew. So I had a little core group there supporting me. And I think I just remember seeing them in the audience at the bow.
Right.
And after it had all happened, the rush of whatever that show was, and then standing there on the stage and seeing their faces, that was a really cool moment.
I bet.
Yeah.
And it must have been comforting to know I've got at
Absolutely.
least someone
Yeah.
out here. Is this your first time living in New York City?
Yeah.
And what do you think? Is it sticking with you? Do you like it? Do you think
Yes.
you'll stay?
Now, when we first arrived, we arrived around New Year, and we're living just across the road from your beautiful studio here. So it's very close to Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's,
so New Year, Times Square, we just arrived. My first time in New York.
Right.
It was just like, and I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know.
I don't blame you. I don't know why. Yeah.
And then that week passed, and all the tourists dispersed, and we got into our working routine, and it's
Yeah.
been so lovely. It's been so lovely, and hopefully we can come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be invited back.
Certainly.
But no, I think we would very much like to come back and keep working here, or at least visiting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love that.
Yeah.
Let's take some questions. Some
Yes.
from fans watching. What would they like to know?
Yeah, so Kyra first, she says, hello. What
Hello.
is your favorite song from the show at the moment?
Favorite song that I like at the moment, because it changes all the time. Somebody's Got Your Back. I love that song, which is new for the stage show, and it sort of fits into like that 30s, 40s, like
Yeah.
soft shoe song and dance vibe. Yeah, I love that, and I love performing it.
How do you obviously Aladdin and Genie have to have an incredible amount of chemistry as well with Aladdin and
they're
Jasmine. Do you have like chemistry dates with your co-stars to make sure that you enjoy each other off stage as well?
Well, we started that when we were in Australia,
Right.
So I guess we were lucky that we had that. All the groundwork was done, and now that we're into the run, now that I'm into the run rather, I've said to Michael and Ariel, I'm a huge foodie, so I'm like, you got to show me New York. You have to show me. So there will be dates to come, no doubt, to keep expanding on that chemistry.
Fantastic.
Amazing. So George wants to know if you prepare for the show differently now that you're on Broadway compared to when you did it in Australia, or if it's the same, or what's that like?
I do prepare for it differently, actually. In Australia, we have an hour call. Everybody comes in and they do a group warm-up together. So you would be warming up physically and vocally with everybody else in the company, whereas it's different here on Broadway. You don't do that. At our theatre, anyway, it's a half an hour call.
Right.
And you're responsible for your own physical and vocal warm-up. So it is. So now I have my own individual routine, whereas previously I would do it with a group, which I like because it's it's dictated by me, but at the same time,
that kind of
the connection with the company. So you'll find me like at the hour call, like going around being like, hello, like I just want to make sure that everyone's here and we're all ready to do the show today. Because I missed that connection.
Little team leader.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
When you first got involved in the show back in Australia, what was the first thing because if you were already a Disney fan and an Aladdin fan, what was the first thing you remember striking you about the stage production? Like, what was it? A number? Was it a new song? What's the first thing that kind of just was like, wow, this is different and impressive?
I guess it was the was proud of your boy, and that through line that is expanded or added within the show. You don't really see much of that in the animation. That was written for the animation, but then taken out later.
Right.
So in seeing it, or hearing it rather, I never actually saw the show before I was in it. In hearing it for the first time, I thought, this is really wonderful. Cool that I get to sing this song, but also for the character and the journey throughout the show to have this sort of personal, emotional, familial connection to then build upon, to take through the rest of the show.
Right. No, right.
Amazing. Alexandra wants to know if there's a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self now that you are Aladdin on Broadway.
Oh gosh, a piece of advice. Yeah, well,
and you started working pretty young too.
Yeah.
Because High Five was
right.
How old were you when that experience
began?
I
was, I guess 19 or
Yeah.
20. I'd gone from school straight to college, and then I was really lucky. And straight out of college, I studied music theatre, and then I got that job.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for the next 3 years in that job, and then that sort of led to Quickly in Xanadu, and then here. So I guess the one thing that I would say to my younger self would be just, don't stop dreaming in the way that when I was young, I'd always be like, I'm going to do that. Like when I was at the Capitol Theatre in Sydney watching shows when I was young with my mum, I said, I'm going to perform on that stage one day. And she always reminds me of that. And then I was in Aladdin performing on the Capitol Theatre stage. So I would say to myself, just don't ever let go of those dreams of this, because they do sort of come true, I guess.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right.
And hopefully they keep coming true.
Is there a lesson you also? I mean, you put the time and dedication into training for. But what is there a lesson from your training that you remember that you kind of keep in your at the forefront of your mind when preparing for these?
I think it's. I think what I learnt most about training when I was at university, I was in a class with 18 other kids, boys and girls, split down the middle, and so when we would put on shows, it would very much be a collaborative piece. And so I think that instilled in me that idea, that obviously every piece is a collaborative piece, and that mindset has followed me through. Never walking into an environment and thinking, oh, I'm Aladdin and this show is about me.
Right.
Of course
right.
it's not. The show is called Aladdin, but everybody is there to tell that story. And I think that sort of mentality was instilled in me very early on.
Right. Even while you probably go around and make sure you say hello to
Right.
everybody. It's just like from moment one to the very
Right,
end.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah, so our last question is going to be, Katie wants to know if there are any other Disney movies that you would like to bring to Broadway and star in.
Oh, gosh.
Wow, no pressure.
Wow.
No pressure.
There are so many great films. I don't even know. Another Disney film. You know what film I really love, but I don't even think it would really make a musical, is The Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
Fantastic.
We were just talking
You
about
know,
this the other day.
like, I love
It would
that
take
film.
the work would be I don't quite know how they do it yet.
I'm not sure.
but-
I'm pretty sure that's like way down the list of Disney's, musicals we're going to bring
But no,
to stage.
such a great movie.
So I'm probably a bit old by the time they get to the end of that list, but we'll see.
You never know. And
You never
outside, are there dream roles within the musical theater canon, like things that you would be very eager to do on Broadway? Anything come to mind? Any dream projects?
Oh,
roles?
anything that's got a bit of tap in it. I would love like a Singing in the Rain, or when I
Yes.
saw Disney's Mary Poppins, I was just blown away. Anything where I can pull my tap shoes on. But in saying that, the more I do, the more I think, let's do something different and let's do something that scares me. Because
Fantastic.
because
Yeah.
that
No,
would be
of
even more
course.
interesting, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then start originating,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do it all, Ainsley.
Exactly.
You
Why
have
not?
our endorsement.
We got time.
Make sure you go see Ainsley in Disney's Aladdin at the New Amsterdam Theater. And while you're here, make sure you go check out Callum Francis as Lola in Kinky Boots as well. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Such
Thank
a pleasure
you.
chatting with you.
Cheers, and you.
Go check out Aladdin. Caitlin, why don't you take us out?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single day on Facebook. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts by searching for #live at 5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We talk to Eric Lochtfeld of King Kong.